need to all have warrant officer haircuts. It's as simple as that. Peter Walker said he didn't get a notification. Yeah, I think there was a problem with DLive earlier, but it's working now. Yeah, that's the diktat. Short hair only. Warrant officer. Like the officer class are allowed long hair, and we're against the officer class because the officer class have ruined this country. So we all have to have short hair. Any men with long hair will be considered a homosexual and will be forced to wear a pink star. I didn't set the rules. I'm just stating how it has to be. Yeah, guy turns up. Anyone that turns up with a middle shed probably will like just be shot on sight. Mullets are back. I know. I see loads of kids. Yeah, I'm actually. My hair is a bit thin these days. I see loads of kids with mullets now. What's that all about? Why are mullets? Can we go back to women wearing hats? Well, no. This is what women have to wear. We've explained this. Hats. Come on. What do you think this is? Some sort of bloody liberal, multicultural utopia that women wear? I mean, hats. I've explained that. Where is it? There's Rob. There's Rob. There's Rob. There's Rob. Let's
back, James. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yeah,
I can hear you.
Did you get the email?
Yes, I did. Thank you.
Yeah,
Rob,
cool.
what age are you?
Sorry?
What age are you?
I'm the same as you, mate. Born in 82.
You're 41. What about the fags? Are you still on the fags or are you off the fags?
Yeah, I still smoke. Yeah, I still smoke. Yeah.
People like your voice. You got the smoker's voice.
What it is, I've got a USB mic and it's really good, but something with StreamYard, I can't get it working with StreamYard. It doesn't get the USB mic, but my microphone on my phone is a little bit. It needs.
No, but we like people like that. It's how many a day do you smoke, Rob?
Mate, not that many. 10. I've always had because of my job, because I was a digger driver. I often like shout all day, so it's I think my vocal cords are a little bit inflamed, but it's the way I talk. Yeah, it's the way I don't
people
give a
like
shit.
it.
You know?
People like it. Do you know what? I was going about this. At least it's not like a really faggy English voice. Like,
yeah,
see, have you not noticed that? Like, I played a clip from an Irish guy earlier, and another. People have such feminine voice.
Yeah.
Like, why do you think that is? Why so? Do you think it is a testosterone thing? Do you think guys are just more testosterone?
I think like drinking out of plastic water bottles. Look, this is how I live by what I talk about. There's a glass bottle.
You drink it out of water.
Glass and glass. Even when you make your water, obviously filter your water, but I put a little bit of salt in it, fresh sea salt, and the salt. Because if you drink water, your cells in your body, you can drink as much water as you want, but your cells won't your cells need the salt to absorb the water into them. So it's good to drink it with some lemon. Nice. Fresh lemon. Even the sizes of the lemons out here, that's organic lemon.
Wow. Yeah, are they still very family orientated, the Turkish people, Rob?
Yeah, it is. It's a funny, not funny culture, but no, it's very, very family orientated. I say, yeah. I'd say
whereabouts exactly is it in Turkey?
I'm down in Bodrum on the coast, just in between Marmaris and Izmir. It's a beautiful part of the world, honestly. I'll send you a view from my apartment. The picture of the view. Gorgeous.
And the history there as well is just off, because that was part of the Ottoman Empire. As you pointed out, so many empires would actually come through that bit of land, wouldn't they? You had the Macedonian, the Alexander the Great, the Ottoman Empire. You had the Roman Empire as well in Istanbul.
Even the way I can hear some Arabian music outside. Someone's got the car turned up, but even the way that, even going back to Israel and what's been happening since the Balfour Declaration, what happened in the 19th century, how Britain started to stick its oar into Palestine, even with some of the explorations that the British have done through the East India Tea Company. And it's fascinating how they pillage and plunder the world. And like you say about going back to the Ottoman Empire, it is interesting. The Ottoman Empire, they were predominantly peaceful out here until Britain started getting involved in something they shouldn't. You know, same with everywhere they go. The British. It's strange. I used to be proud to be British when I used to be called Sir Brexit on Twitter. Yeah. But then I changed it to Esoteric Night of Malta. Because that name didn't really apply.
I think a lot of us feel that way as well, Rob. That
Yeah.
I obviously come from a staunch unionist stroke loyalist family, ultra pro Brexit, but I'm so disgusted with what we've become, and what is it they say? There's nothing more zealous than a convert. And when you look at the actions of like the British state, many times it's been to the detriment of British people. I mean, it's been to the enrichment of the 0.1%, like the Rothschild family, basically the royal family. You know, all these scumbags who have just, again, they've used everyday people to fund their lifestyle, and you know, that's the thing. People, like, you see it all the time on Twitter. People are like, "Oh, you guys stole from India. You stole everything." Well, I'm not seeing any benefits of it. I don't know if you're like, we're not.
Even in the presentation tonight, we're going to be looking at some of the artifacts of the British Museum. It's quite interesting. Even the British crown that Queenie wore, that Koh-i-Noor diamond. This Koh-i-Noor diamond, the value of it, it's I don't know. I think it's priceless, really. But you know, like they can fund all these wars, and they can't feed the homeless. You know, the state of Britain.
And people are poor. I mean, you do see that. Like, I was out today, and it was a switching on of the lights, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but I was looking at people and they look poor. You know, like you see it with these young girls. So many young girls now are like morbidly obese. You know, really not just a few extra pounds, really overweight. And these are young people, and they don't look healthy, and they don't look happy, you know, and it's when you actually go to other countries and you just sort of look at like if you go to Poland, for example, and you just look at an average person, they look normal, whereas our average people, you know, and you can see it being done. Rob, just before we get on the presentation, I'm interested in the Turkey stuff. What people like? You watched the debate with Based Amy, right?
Yeah, I did.
You know,
yeah.
Like, now you're in a moderately Islamic country, because Turkey technically still is a secular country. Have you been threatened with any beheadings recently?
No,
like, do you have to check behind your shoulder that someone's going to take your neck off?
But it's like the whole Islam thing. You can't. I used to live and work near London. I work with a lot of Indian people. There's a lot, especially Sikh people. Sikhs are absolutely lovely, and you can't tarnish all the Muslim people by saying everyone's Islamic fanatic. It's not fair. You know, but out here, it's just normal. It's not. You don't see any trouble. Maybe in certain parts of Istanbul you might not go to, but not down here. No, it's absolutely no.
So if they see you as a but then here's maybe what Amy would argue is that if push came to the shove and there was a war, they would deal with you. Do you think that, or like?
It's not. I think I'm more scared about the governments than Islam. I think the governments are out of control. I think there's more. There's. Based Amy is lovely and she's got a good heart. But I think people like this, like since this Israel-Palestine war started, it's really cut the truth movement again. Like with Sid Cordell is a great debate, and it's funny the way I find it kind of not weird, funny the way people stay in their lower levels of programming boxes. Maybe it's a difficult subject to talk about, but yes.
But what I don't understand is how these people are still in. I mean, they're basically in 2006
Yeah.
They're in the 2006 box. I just don't understand how that's even possible. Like after COVID, after Ukraine, after this, like I'm not saying you need to come out and be like where we are, but to not recognize that there's a problem with Zionism, it's just
it's serious.
and then to recognize as well that all these people who are all the right wing opposition are all ultra Zionists as well. Like, how can you not like say there's something wrong there?
Yeah, it's getting crazy. It's getting to a serious. It's going to get to a tipping point, hopefully. But what happens when we get to that tipping point? Because then no doubt the Illuminati, the secret societies we're not supposed to talk about, they have backup plans. They, you know, and it's even if say all the people from the government were removed, then the ones below them will step into that power vacuum, like the mafia. Like it's very tricky the way it's very tricky the way this problem that we all face globally gets solved. Very tricky. Just let me shut the balcony door, mate. It's getting very windy. Just one sec.
No probs. No probs.
Right, it's better. Yeah, so
it's that's all. I'm not asking people to think the way I think or the way we think or to have the open mind that we have. My only kind of issue is when they're just repeating the same talking points from like the Brexit date. It's like we've moved on from that.
Have you been watching The Jungle? I'm a Celebrity. Have you been watching that?
No, I've not.
I bet you have.
No, I've not. No, I've not. I don't watch mainstream. I don't watch that mainstream stuff.
But just go back to the chemtrail thing.
Yeah.
Clouds.
Have you got any there? Have you got chemtrails there?
Look how low the clouds are. Is it because the firmament's dropping? Very low, and a huge full moon behind the cloud. No, maybe in Istanbul they do it more. But down here, not so much now. You might get the odd day when you see a couple, which is surprising. But the air, honestly, going out on the scooter is the air. There's a certain smell in the air out here. It's a fresh sea air, but with the pine trees. It's beautiful. It's very. You can feel it's like a more dry atmosphere as well, so it's not as humid, not as wet.
But well, I said as soon as you came on again, you looked like a different person. Your skin looked better. Your eyes look better. You can actually see a real whiteness around your eyes now, and it does show you that your environment.
Like we get 1 kilogram of pine tree honey. The reason I keep going close to the camera is because the volume's quite low, and not your end.
We can hear you loud and clear. You're fine.
Yeah, cool. No, we get 1 kilogram of pine tree honey, organic, £5, huge jar of it. We get fresh olive oil from the olive trees here. That's about, I think, what one litre is about £5 or something. I'm not sure how much it is, but it's cheap. It's fantastic, honestly. And yeah it's good.
Right, let's get into this. Let's get into this presentation then. We're on this one here, which is quite interesting. In 1952, Werner von Braun. Now, again, for anyone that doesn't know, Werner von Braun was worked for the Germans during the war and went to America as part of Operation Paperclip and was instrumental in NASA. He wrote a book called Project Mars, which imagined that human colonists on Mars could be led by a person called Elon. What's this all about?
This is a book written by Werner von Braun. I can't actually see most of the text, but he's interesting. Werner von Braun was part of Operation Paperclip, which is in the next slide, and it's just the fact that a book was written, and it mentions Elon. A guy called Elon will be going to Mars in the future. And it's just an interesting point, isn't it? But even going back to Operation Paperclip, I did an episode on YouTube last week talking about Antarctica and the North Pole, and Rupes Negra, this black mountain at the North Pole that nobody talks about, black rock. So it's Rupes Negra means black rock in translation. So it's really interesting, I thought. And this Operation Paperclip 1942, when about a thousand German officers and scientists went missing. When the Allies were rounding everybody up in Berlin, they were nowhere to be found, and they all went to America, and they set up these three-letter agencies: the CIA, the NSA, etc., the FBI.
See, I've got a theory on this. So hear me out. I don't necessarily think these people were like Nazis or National Socialists. I think what these people were, and your next slide points to that, is they're just pure technocrats. So like during like the Nazi regime, these people were perfectly happy to be involved because it gave them power. Because if you look at a lot of these people, some of them went and started like joined with the East Germans. Like, yes, a lot of them went to America, but a lot. So I think no matter what the ideology is, whether it's, National Socialism or communism, you're always going to attract like a group of people who just love power and control, and they don't care what the ideology is. They'll latch on to it. And I think the way in which these people went from Nazi Germany to America, or even East Germany, or even the Soviet Union, just shows you, these people didn't give a shit about any principles. All they want is power.
Yeah, power. Yeah, exactly. And it's even, we can talk about free energy devices and the technology they had, or were rumored to have, but definitely the US military industrial complex has this. It's like mercury turbines, like these one of the technologies to come out of Antarctica, rumors, Germany, was these red mercury, same with Tesla. And it's like the magnetic field propulsion as well. But these red mercury turbines, where they'll have white, I think it's white mercury or normal mercury, and they'll spin red mercury around it, and it levitates. And it's so simple and free, and it doesn't pollute. It's like the fact that we're told mercury is so poisonous, so toxic, etc. And it's an absolute inversion. Same with some slides coming up later, talking about radium. Have you heard about radium before?
Yeah, no, I've not heard about it. I know what radium is, but
radium. There was even a report of a guy, a patient. So he had something wrong with him. Maybe it was some sort of cancer. I can't quite remember. But this guy started taking radium every day. Maybe he was a doctor. I'm not sure. But he took radium every day, and the illness was gone. And he started looking younger or something. It was crazy. But again, we're told radium's really bad for you, and it's very interesting the way they tell us one thing, and it's a total inversion of what, like a lot of these fireplaces in old, like grand stately homes. These fireplaces, there's no soot marks from ash, from black soot, and they had the stories about someone's great grandma talking about, they used to go to the city hall with a metallic ball, and they used to go to the city hall to charge this ball up. And this links again to like St. Paul's Cathedral, even Hagia Sophia in Turkey, all these buildings like Taj Mahal, where they have a dome center and the towers to conduct this free energy.
That's like a mythical building, isn't it? Have you been to Istanbul and seen the Hagia Sophia?
I've been to Istanbul, but we've not been to Hagia Sophia yet. My girlfriend
because I don't know if you know the story about what date was it? Was it 1415? When was the fall of Constantinople? 1415 was it, the fall of Constantinople? Let me see, fall of Constantinople. My lack of it. 1453 was the fall of Constantinople. They actually said, that the day before it happened, there was this incredible like power. Have you heard this story?
No, I haven't. No, it's interesting.
If you watch there's a really good documentary on it. It was like an electrical power,
Storms. Yeah.
and it looked like it was leaving the Hagia Sophia, and a lot of people took it as a sign that was the Holy Spirit or the Virgin Mary abandoning Constantinople, and the very next day it fell, and like the Hagia Sophia was massive, way bigger than any other building that was built around the time.
Yeah, yeah, no, definitely the same as what we're going to be looking at after the sort of futuristic bit where we are now. But it's we'll go back to this slide just now. But it is fascinating. All the old buildings, the way they're built when we only had horse and buggy and stuff like that. It doesn't all make sense to me. But this whole technocracy thing, this also links to who is it? The father, the Canadian, there's a guy in Canada. I can't remember now. But yes, it says it on the grandfather of head of Canada's technocracy movement. Can't remember his name, but this guy had a vision back in the 30s of technocracy, pretty much, and it's like that movie called Time with Justin Timberlake.
Good film.
Have you seen that movie?
That's a really good film. Yeah, brilliant film.
Allow me to introduce my mother-in-law, Clara, my wife, Michelle, and my daughter, Sylvia.
Whoa, where's the rest?
Never met the quota.
My units are up from last week.
So is the quota.
Just once, I'd like to wake up with more time on my hand than hours in the day.
How old are you?
28.
I'm 105. But the day comes when you've had enough. If you had as much time as I have, what would you do with it?
Sure as hell wouldn't waste it.
The last time anyone saw him alive, there was over a century on that clock.
Well, follow the time.
His name is Will Salas.
You can't hide 100 years in the ghetto.
You know that time will get you killed.
Hey, Mom, I'm gonna get out of here.
I just wouldn't know what to do if I lost you.
I don't believe we've had the pleasure of your company before, Mr.
Salas. Will Salas.
I'm sorry to have to break up the party, Mr. Weiss. I just need a word with your friend. This is my destiny.
Please take me home.
Can't do that.
Why?
You're keeping me alive.
Yeah, this is my intention.
How can you live with yourself watching people die right next to you?
You don't watch. You close your eyes.
I'm gonna make them pay. I'm gonna take them for everything they've got. Come on, help yourselves!
Take the time, it's free.
If you put enough time in the wrong hands, you upset the whole system.
Let's hope so.
If this works, we gotta get more.
I can help you get all the time you want.
You know we're coming to get you.
His crime wasn't taking time. He was giving it away.
That's where they want to take it. I think with CBDCs aren't even the last step. That's the step before the whole credit time thing. It's
Yeah, I think like, people kind of underestimate how bad a technocracy actually is. Like,
Yeah.
in a technocracy, it really is just like this robot class of politician that like it's death by middle manager, like Rishi Sunak, like Chris Whitty, like Patrick Vallance, like all these people who they've got no empathy, they've got no humanity, and they're horrific people to run the country. You know, and again, that's the problem with the political class. All of them are technocrats, and in a way, there's no ideology or there's no morality in their perspective.
No, definitely is. Can you go back to slide 7? Because I
Yeah,
put
of
one in
course.
about Jeremy Hunt. Sorry.
He's a
I put this
perfect
one.
example of it. Perfect example. Yeah.
Well, even his wife. This like the picture looks a bit, doesn't look very female, like womanly. I don't know.
Trans.
They Yeah, it looks a bit,
Baby
I don't
boy.
know. But yeah, it's just interesting. This his eyes. Have you seen his eyes sometimes when he's talking?
Yeah, they're
His
weird.
eyes.
They're weird. Some people say he looks reptilian.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Even the way, like Anthony Blinken's teeth. Have you seen his teeth? The way they're
Yeah,
sharp
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah, yeah,
piercing?
yeah. Yeah, he looks
Very,
satanic. He looks devil-like, doesn't he?
very, very strange how some of these parasitic elites, they have these sharpened teeth, and it's like, I don't know, it's strange. But and the way Rishi Sunak looks like Roland Rat as well. I saw the video of the hammer as well. It's
It's
just like
brilliant. I know, but apparently
cringe.
he was told to hit it like that. So
Is it?
yeah, I kind of had to put that there. I mean, it was brilliant, but they did say that lizards
Yeah.
very possibly Tesla. I mean, yeah, that like Elon Musk, in my opinion, has done some good things on Twitter. Twitter is more free speech now, right? It simply is. Twitter is much better, but there are major red flags with this guy. Like, for example, turning up at a Halloween event with a Baphomet outfit on.
Yeah. He also had the white tuxedo jacket with New World Order on the back. You probably saw that as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Different banquet, yeah.
And
But
this, I mean,
Musk,
what a lot of people say about Musk is he is a Pied Piper to get people
yeah,
on board, and then before you know it, you're going to have to get a chip put
yeah,
in your brain.
Neuralink, yeah. It's like that movie, Upgrade. Have you watched that?
I've not, but I've heard about it.
Oh, watch that. That's good. You like that? It's good. But even Musk, the way his mum May Musk, she's a massive
Satanist.
she's got a lot of shots with the one eye and stuff like that. The whole family, these secret societies will not let somebody have that much wealth without them being controlled, without them having some sort of purpose.
Yeah.
You
I
know?
mean, the things Elon Musk, part of me does think that the things he says and gets away with, like why have the cabal not taken away all his bank accounts? Why have they not shut Tesla? If Elon Musk is such a danger to like the establishment, why is it like look at what they did to Kanye West when Kanye West started speaking out? They completely destroyed the guy overnight. They took away his bank accounts, they took away his record deals, they destroyed the guy overnight. Whereas with Musk, he gets to say all these things and he still gets to do his business. It is a definite red flag when it comes to Musk.
Yeah, no, definitely. Even like Tesla is an interesting one. Nikola Tesla. During my start of my awakening, I only woke up at the start of COVID, but Tesla, we're kind of getting into the free energy, the old world tech in a couple of slides. But Tesla, I used to think Tesla was a good guy, but his links to John Trump, the uncle of Trump, picking up all this, I don't know. It's like these parasitic rulers. They had to have somebody to explain a lot of these inventions and some of the free energy, and they've used Tesla as a bit of a scapegoat, not scapegoat, but an actor.
They've tried to make him out to be like one of the good guys, haven't they?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it's hiding all the old world stuff, which nice to have.
Yeah, I now think that it really isn't based on talent. If you're going to get to a position of power and authority, you have to. And if you do threaten, if you are a threat, they just completely destroy you, or they put you in jail,
kill you, arrest you.
Yeah, smear you, lie about you, hacking humans.
Yeah, this is very interesting. You got Yavs, what's his name? Novel Harari.
Yuval Noah Harari.
Noah Yuval Harari. Interesting character. But like DARPA, and even our consciousness, we're all souls in a meat suit body, having this experience in this realm, wherever we live in. And it is true about our consciousness isn't really, it's difficult. Our consciousness is all in the ether, or some people say it is, and it's interesting the way that even humans are like antennas, and they talk about in the science article about they built the world's smallest antenna, 5 nanometers in size, which can be, if you're doing those COVID swabs, the nose. I never did one, but I don't think they were very good at what were you putting up? I don't know. It's interesting, but there is something in that. Even like people's behavior. People's behaviors are changing, driving behaviors changing as well. I think it's interesting.
Right, let me just check this. Next one, Celebrity Hunger Games season 2.
Yeah.
I'm going to the store. Yeah, there he is. But
yeah, what's his name? I can't remember his name now. But even that picture of Michael and Barry, Michael and Barack. It's that's a brilliant picture of him.
So that's Ye West as well, with upside down cross, snake tongue. Was that after? I never took a COVID test once. Lie, fake news. I never once took a COVID test. Was that after he did his speaking out?
This is very recent. This is I think it's his latest album cover or single cover. Just like a couple of weeks ago, I think. But you can see all the satanic.
I mean, yeah. I mean, it's funny how they really did put him back on the lead again, because I think obviously he got this new bird, and she kind of put him back in, and now something very odd with Ye. I mean, some people just say he's mentally unwell. I mean, the thing is, all I found at the time was he was talking about the power structure. And it does look like he's had his muzzle put back on him.
MK Ultra, pretty much. It's like there's even these little reptilian lizards called Vril, VRIL. Have you heard about these?
I've heard of Vril power.
Yeah, Vril. It's also the Germans back in the Jersey Germans. Back in the 30s, had a couple of other secret societies called the Thule Society.
Yeah.
Hamburg, Germany, December 1938. 4 years into Adolf Hitler's reign as Führer, he is beginning to establish his total dictatorship by taking direct control of the German military.
Heil, John!
Sieg Heil, Strudelmonster!
A is for Adolf!
Sieg Heil!
A
is for Adolf!
Sieg Heil! A is for Adolf! Sieg Heil! Und Anschluss und Aryan too! B is for Blitzkrieg!
Blinkt wie Windhunde, zäh wie Leder und hart wie Kruppstahl!
But on the brink of World War II, Hitler is also involved in much stranger endeavors that are hidden to the public. He is committing every remaining resource to searching for ancient relics that he believes could hold incredible powers. On December 17th, the German freighter MS Schwabenland sets out on one of these top-secret missions. Its 33-member team is rumored to include scientists, military experts, construction crews, and key members of the Thule Society, an elite group associated with the Nazis that focused on mysticism and the occult. 32 days later, they arrive at their destination, Antarctica.
The Nazis themselves were fascinated by ancient civilizations and legends of vanished super races. They were searching for this lost Arctic home that they thought that the Aryans had come from. They were looking all over the world, and that included Antarctica.
The Thule Society actually believed that there were mystics or channels who were able to communicate with these beings who claim to be either extraterrestrial in origin or claim to belong to this civilization that lived in Earth's interior. They gave a lot of information about the building of advanced aerospace vehicles, flying saucers, and I think this is where Hitler's Nazi Party got a lot of its information about Antarctica. That in Antarctica there is this ancient civilization or bases where they could find a lot of these advanced technologies.
During their time in Antarctica, the Nazis were believed to have mapped huge swaths of the icy landscape by air. Ancient astronaut theorists believe they also established an elaborate underground headquarters known as Base 211.
Hitler and the Nazis were particularly interested in Antarctica. I think they really believed that there were things going on deep under the ice. And there have always been rumors that the Nazis, with their submarines, have underwater caverns, small cities, that they escaped there after World War II.
When the Germans got to Antarctica, what they found were massive cities that were highly technological. And these buildings were not just on the surface, they went deep down underground. So they began relocating a massive amount of equipment and personnel to Antarctica, repressurizing these ancient facilities and reoccupying them.
In 1946, 1 year after the end of World War II, the US government launched its own large-scale mission to Antarctica. Operation High Jump deployed 4,700 troops, 13 ships, an aircraft carrier, and a number of seaplanes to Antarctica. Although the government denied it at the time, it would later become known that one of the operation's primary objectives was, quote, extending the United States sovereignty over the largest practicable area of the Antarctic continent.
And the Vril Society, which I can't remember her name now, but yeah, this is very interesting. But these little reptilians, Vril, they apparently can probe into your eyeball and infect a human, like that Black Eye Club thing. Depends which perspective you're looking at it from, but yeah. It is an interesting subject. Or even all this talk about reptilians and stuff.
Rob, can I just admit something? Someone's actually made a very good point in the chat, and I have to be honest. I have to be audience with my audience, Rob, because if I'm not honest, they'll call me out. I did take a COVID test. They made me take it, and I requested it was an anal COVID test. So I was correct in what I said. I never took a COVID test up my nose. Okay, so I kept my nasal integrity, but yeah. Not my anal.
No, it's fine. It's interesting.
Integrity. I mean, remember they were doing that to people. I don't know if they were doing that because I think a lot of the stuff that comes out of China is bullshit. But remember, they showed the videos of people getting anally swabbed for. I mean, that's I think again that's just pure.
Yeah,
it is a pure. It's a pure power play, isn't it? You know,
it's like it's like if they need your DNA, I think they were collecting people's DNA.
Yeah. I mean, I have to be honest. During COVID was the closest in life I've ever felt like to Douglas Murray, but not so much these days.
Yeah.
Right. What's this, Rob? Nana Akua. What are you saying about this young lady?
If you click, just watch the video.
Britain's news channel.
There's only 3 people you can trust in life: your doctor, your lawyer, and your nana. So join me, Nana Akua, at 3 p.m. every Saturday and Sunday, where we discuss the biggest topics of the weekend. Be ready for battle.
Could you be quiet? What is this? It's my new teeth.
It's your new teeth. I don't bite. Well, not without a good reason.
Always honest, always fun.
So what's the diagnosis here?
Oh, I don't know. I just think me and my girlfriend watch her, but him, I don't know. But I just I don't know. Is it a wig? Is it
But I think it is a wig.
What do you think
I think
about
it is
her?
a wig. I think it is a wig because black women don't have hair like that.
Yeah, it's not straight
but
like that. Yeah.
Are you inferring that perhaps Nana isn't in the same body that she was born in, or there's been a
Might have been
change
some
somewhat
sort
over the years?
some sort of transition, I think. But yeah,
Mm.
but yeah, no, I just don't know the throat as well. I'm not sure. It's just
Yeah, I think do you know the one that really opened it up for me, and I think a lot of people have said Princess Stephanie of Monaco. Have you seen her?
yeah.
Him?
Yeah, I know the one. I think I can't quite briefly. I know that I know her name. Yeah.
It was like they actually say that it is very common that like I don't think they actually even did full like cutting off of organs. They just used to actually get men and get them to pretend that they were women. It was part of the gender inversion thing, and to prime
Even
people for what we have now.
yeah, even go back to think about like Victorian times when they did plays in theatres.
Yes.
Quite often a man would dress up as a woman, wouldn't they? In
Yeah.
pantomimes and stuff, even
Yeah.
it's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
this is gone into sort of old world now, and looking at the British and how this is actually HMS Victory in Portsmouth, just close to where I live. But yeah, it's this ship is huge, absolutely huge, and it's just an example of British power. How also these British East India Tea Companies pillaged the world. We'll be looking at the Koh-i-Noor diamond, the Benin bronzes from Nigeria, the Rosetta Stone from Egypt.
Yeah, that's
they
right.
want it back, and it's just this audacity and what's the word, like right of belonging, like they this upper class, this feminite, like the total pussies, Hancock, everybody, they all talk like, you know, it's interesting the British establishment.
Koh-i-Noor. I
These are
mean,
some
the Rosetta Stone, again, just a quick history lesson. I know many of you will know this, but before people couldn't translate hieroglyphics, they just couldn't decipher it. And then I think they found the Rosetta Stone. Am I right in saying that part of it was in hieroglyphics, then the next part was in Greek, and it
yeah,
managed to
I think it's got a few languages on it. I think it's
three
got
languages, isn't it?
three, yeah. But again, I mean that should go back to Egypt. The British should have never have taken it. Even there was a war in Nepal, 1814 to 1816, with the British when they went there, and some of the stories are crazy with what they took. Same with the US recently in 2003 in Baghdad with the museum. They
But
took
is that not your right as an invader to take stuff though, Rob? I mean, is it
Yeah.
should you not? I mean, you know, should you not be able to go and is that not the whole point of invading is to plunder and take all the good things?
I guess it is, but it's I think with how much Britain has done, how much they have of other countries' possessions, I think it's taking the piss a bit. I don't know. Also, I have a negative bias towards Kaiser Charlie and the Gotha family, and you know, I don't know how people, like when he was being coronated, like everybody's skin, everybody's standing in the rain, waving at some guy in a golden carriage. It's like fairy tale movie shit.
I think it's tough for people because we were brought up to like love this country, to care for it. But I now think, and I hate to have to say this, but I think a lot of that was you were sold a pup, basically, weren't we? To just keep these scumbags, parasites, in positions of power, you know. And as you quite rightly point out, they're not sharing the swag. You know, they're not sharing the swag with everyone else, are they?
This is the British Museum. It's the world's largest world history museum, and it draws millions of visitors every year. Inside, it holds more than 8 million cultural and historical artifacts from all over the world, which cover 2 million years of human history. If you follow the museum's recommended list of don't miss items, you'll see its star pieces. Like this Easter Island sculpture that's about 1,000 years old, or this bronze sculpture of the Hindu god Shiva. But there's a problem hidden in the museum, and we can see an example of it along this route. Out of those 12 pieces, nearly half have disputed ownership. The British Museum claims those pieces belong there, on display for the world to see. But in recent years, many have been fighting to get them back to where they came from.
The list of disputed museum treasures keeps on growing.
Should cultural artefacts return to their home countries or be left in Western museums?
The subject of intense debate as to who should now own them.
Let's start with some context. In the late 1600s, the British Empire began expanding across several continents. It became the largest empire in history, controlling about a quarter of the world's land and population. During its centuries-long rule, the empire took precious resources and wealth from countries all over the world, including cultural and historical artifacts, many of which ended up here in the British Museum, which was founded in 1753 and kept growing to accommodate all the new pieces in its collection. Lots of the items in the museum were legally acquired and are completely undisputed, like this one, a 2,000-year-old Roman vase sold to the museum by a duke in 1945. The problem is with the pieces that are disputed, like the first item you see as soon as you walk in, the Rosetta Stone, taken by British troops from the French in what is now Egypt. Or further in, the Parthenon sculptures, removed from the Acropolis in Athens by a British lord and sent to the British Museum. Or over here, on the floor dedicated to African art, the Benin bronzes, some of the most contentious items in the museum. The Benin bronzes are kind of hard to categorize because they include such a huge range of items, from engraved ivory tusks to brass sculptures to plaques. But they were all produced here, in the Kingdom of Benin, in present-day Nigeria. This wealthy and industrious kingdom produced thousands of objects and art pieces starting in the 1500s. A lot of the items adorned palace walls and were used for religious rituals, but they weren't just decorative.
There were visual archives of the kingdom in a society that did not develop written script as we know them.
That's Professor Chika Okeke-Agulu, an art historian and professor from Nigeria who teaches at Princeton University.
They told their history, how they narrated the histories of kingship, of the kingdom, its political and social life.
But in 1897, Benin would lose thousands of these cultural pieces. At the time, European colonial powers were expanding south in what was called the Scramble for Africa. They split up the continent into spheres of influence for financial exploitation. All these pink areas were the British ones. Benin, over here, was in Britain's sphere of influence. But the kingdom didn't comply with Britain's trade demands. And in January of 1897, it led to what was called the Benin disaster, where Benin guards killed 7 British emissaries, plus their many guides and servants. In response, 1,200 British troops embarked on a mission called the Benin Punitive Expedition. The British wanted revenge, but the mission was about more than just that.
There were reports of these vast treasures in the palace of the King of Benin, and that if they could retrieve these treasures, sales from it could offset the cost of the invasion. This was all well planned, and so the punitive expedition, in other words, was also an economic enterprise.
The British soldiers, armed with machine guns, conquered the city and burned it to the ground, but not before carefully taking thousands of artifacts. They piled them up neatly, photographed them, and even labeled them loot. This photo, taken at the Benin Palace after the raid, shows soldiers with the dismantled plaques that were brought to the British Museum and sold all over the world. And after hundreds of years, the once prosperous kingdom was gone. The region fell under full British colonial control until 1960, when Nigeria, including the city of Benin, gained independence. But even though they were finally free, their historical artifacts were still spread all over the world, locked up in Western institutions like the Leipzig Museum of Ethnology in Germany and the Quai Branly Museum in Paris, and, of course, the British Museum.
1995, in London. That was my first time of seeing an original ancient Benin artwork. Was, yes, at the British Museum. Being in the presence of these magnificent objects and knowing that I had to travel all the way from Nigeria to see for the first time these objects, it was a mixture of pride in the achievement of these ancient artists and anger mixed with a sense of loss at what could have been if I only had to travel a few hundred miles. But at this point, you're limited to those privileged like me who could get a visa to travel all the way from Nigeria to England to encounter these objects. Most Nigerians will never see them.
In March 2000, Benin's royal family tried to change that. They officially requested all cultural property illegally taken be returned to the rightful owner. But for the most part, the British Museum has ignored any requests. The museum is restricted by a government act that prevents it from returning objects, but it has also made its stance clear. In July of 2020, the British Museum told Vox, "We don't restitute, but we are absolutely committed to lending as widely as possible, including to Nigeria. The museum's foundational value resides in its breadth, scale, complexity, and unity, and as such is a true library of the world." Chika doesn't see it that way.
The British Museum still behaves like a colonial museum. You cannot claim to be an encyclopedic collector of stolen objects.
But some are starting to reckon with this history. In 2014, the grandson of this British soldier from the 1897 Benin Punitive Expedition returned these two items he had inherited to the Benin royal family. And in 2007, the Benin Dialogue Group was formed. Western museums that hold the bronzes and Nigerian government representatives have been discussing potential solutions ever since. But as of today, none of the bronzes have been returned. But this is just one story. This legacy is bigger than the Benin bronzes. There are hundreds of contested items in the British Museum, with their own rich histories and with original owners trying to retrieve them. But the problem is even bigger than the British Museum. It's a legacy of centuries of colonial power that repeats itself again and again, with different artifacts in different museums, because these requests aren't just about items. They are also about cultural and historical identity and who gets to own it.
This is a long-term project. It may last beyond my own lifetime, but the point is that it's now to start that process. We cannot wait any longer for a next generation to even begin the necessary task and project of cultural reconstitution.
That's it. Even the top photo in the middle is the Parthenon from Greece. The Kohinoor is the diamond. The bottom photo is the Benin bronzes, and the bottom right photo is picture of Vlad the Impaler, which is now our king, a descendant of Vlad, of that Dracula bloodline.
Go back to the abyss! Fall into the nothingness that awaits you and your master. Do you not know death when you see it, old man? This is my power. Oof, now we're warming up.
Life is a pit.
You see, because here's again the sort of issue that you'll face and others will say is like this is a left-wing thing, like decolonial. And I'm not saying this to give you a hard time. I'm just talking about it. It's decolonialization. So what we're saying is that we have to give it back. And then what the establishment would argue maybe is that if we hadn't have taken these things, then something bad might have happened to them. You know, like they wouldn't have recognized the history of it.
You could say that, yeah. It's like the East India Company, like actually the VOC and the Dutch East India Company. They were actually, in comparison to BlackRock now, the Dutch East India Company were even bigger than BlackRock.
Yeah, that's right. They were the BlackRock of the day, weren't they?
Yeah, even like story of Andrew Carnegie, Scottish steel magnate.
Yeah.
He it's funny, like the Carnegie Hall in New York is named after him.
That's right.
But he apparently started as an errand boy. They all have these stories, which we're going to get into soon, about the early 19th century. And there seems to be a gap from like 1800 to 1840, 1850, where I think something happened, some sort of cataclysmic event, some sort of plasma event, I don't know. But we look at all these mountains where they almost look like buildings that have been melted. Same with the statues in Karnak in Egypt, the huge megalithic statues in Karnak. There's always one side of them that's damaged, and it's interesting. Like something came from I think it's from the east. I'm not sure, but it's interesting.
Yeah, no, I mean it is very interesting. And do you know what? When you talk about all these people again, it's a bit like Jeffrey Epstein. Jeffrey Epstein went from being a school teacher to like a billionaire. Like I don't know, maybe I'm just not talented enough, but I don't know how you just go from being Joe Public to be. I just don't think it's possible. Like, I don't believe that. I don't believe that if you and I, you know this, if you just work hard enough and you come up with the right product, you too can be worth hundreds of millions. You can become a bill. No, I don't believe that. I think the whole system, the whole game's rigged against you. And people say, "Well, you're just a typical socialist. You just don't know how it works." No, I fucking do know how it works. Like, and it's obvious that you do not get into these positions of power unless you toe the line, or as you say, you're part of the right bloodline or the right families.
Like, I heard something about Bibi Netanyahu. You know, he's Polish, don't you?
Yes,
Netanyahu.
yes.
And apparently before he came to Israel, he was a furniture salesman.
Yeah.
And he just walks into power. His family are very anti-Semitic as well, and it's well, Polish side of it, but it's interesting. Here we've got a picture of The Return of the King, Kaiser Charlie Gotha. Welcome 77th Brigade if you're watching as well. How you doing? But the Untouchables and Queenie, and I always think it's funny the way that guy tried to get in the coffin. Did you see the guy that broke the line when they were viewing it?
Yes.
That was interesting. Again, and it's these three pictures actually sum it up. Like you got Kaiser Charlie Gotha, Queenie, and then you got the Alfa Romeo badge, which I keep bringing on the show actually. But this, the flag of the Knights of Malta, the Knights Templar, the Order of the Garter, same sort of thing really. And then you've got the dragon, the serpent, devouring the human, and it sort of sums up society. That picture. This is an interesting slide. This is the bells that were hidden. This is from a girl on Twitter. She's from the UK actually. She has some really interesting posts. Her Twitter profile's on the screen. But before World War One, in the 19th century sometime, some of the armies used to go around and they used to gather up all the bells. And this links to resonance, frequency, vibration, and like cathedrals, like this free energy we're talking about, like a lot of the windows in a cathedral, they're all geometrically shaped, and they create different patterns of frequency. People say cathedrals were like healing centers, let's say. Same with the bells. The bells gave off a positive resonance.
There's no bells. There's no bells. I mean, this is a really good point. Like the bells. Remember they used to talk about the bells would ring out. The bells would ring out. I mean, like after the war or during the war or whatever. Like you don't hear any bells now, do you? Like bell making. And there is obviously this is another rabbit hole, but there is a whole other school of thought that a lot of ailments can be cured by noise frequency.
Definitely.
And this is a good point when you talk about it, Rob. Like you think about the iconic bells of Big Ben. And the noise that the bell makes, whereas we don't have bells ringing up and down the country now, do we?
No. Even the way Big Ben was stopped, wasn't it? It can't, the works on Big Ben a while ago, maybe was it 5-10 years ago? Like Big Ben, I can't remember what year it was, but it was out of commission for a long time. But even the photo on the bottom left of the screen, this bell is huge, and I've seen some other pictures of giant bells. Like again, this links to humans used to be a lot bigger, and they hide all this from us. And talking about the Nephilim, the giants, and the descendants of Cain, the bloodlines, etc. The royals are part of this Canaanite bloodline, and it's the land of Canaan is actually now situated over Gaza, and it's part of that area next to the state of Judea, going back many thousands of years ago. But it's very interesting. I find the bells, these graveyards of bells, very interesting.
And the other thing as well, if you think about modern music, up until probably the 50s, all music was natural. Music was an instrument,
analog,
and analog, and people and the way you made more music. Like if you listen to classical music, it is nicer than just a fake beat. And again, think about that. All music was natural. It was there was no altering to it. Whereas you look at modern music now,
it's terrible. Even since like maybe the 2000s, late 90s was okay, but it was more dance music and stuff like that, hip hop. But since the 2000s, the state of pop music has gone, all these voice changes, the tuning they can do to it, it's gone this repetitive BPM beat throughout every pop song is nearly the same. It's terrible, awful.
What's this, Rob? What's going on here?
These photos here are interesting. The top left one was sent to me by one of my friends in my Telegram group, Martine. But they say we're standing on the shoulders of giants, and this building on the top left sums it up, where you see a megalithic structure below it, and even lighthouses. I watched Paul Cook. If you don't know Paul Cook, he's very good on YouTube. they were saying that a lot of lighthouses, which again, some of them come from the old world, for pre-last reset, I think, I don't know, but a lot of the lighthouses are built on ley lines where the energy is, and how did they used to power them up? But it's interesting. Same with the photo below the top left. That's somewhere underground. I've got a photo, apparently Antarctica, but it says like 4,000 feet under the surface, level 42 under, and it looks it's crazy. But the photo in from the top left is a picture of Göbekli Tepe with a rocket on it. Now, Göbekli Tepe is about 12,000 years old. And why do they have a rocket on it? A rocket in the stone. Again, it's very interesting. And it highlights that there was technology way back when in various other different civilizations.
Yeah.
This is another interesting one, I thought. Oh, I didn't actually quite, sorry. But this photo, the top left one's just an example of a beautiful building that we don't seem to be able to build anymore.
No.
But the one on the main picture on the right is what looks like to me is it looks like there's other pictures of this as well, and people don't seem to know where they are. And there's a group of men in the middle of the photo near the mouse cursor. It's from an episode of John Levi, and they look like they're the bosses of. It looks like people in the know, Illuminati, whatever you want to call them, have come up from underground after the reset. Look at all these elites, parasitic elites buying bunkers, building huge bunkers in New Zealand and all sorts. And yeah, it's interesting. But photo bottom left is, do you remember these beak masks? Very interesting. Like during the Black Death. It's very interesting, right. This photo. Yeah, it's interesting. But even links to, like, in one of Dolores Cannon's books, she talks about these group of ancient robots. It's a bit out there, the theory, but they all used to wear these masks, and it's interesting to see these masks coming around the time of the Black Death. Before it's interesting.
I think as well, like that. This is the biggest worry that I have: is people don't even know history anymore. People don't understand. Like, people do think that the world just began, and it's blatantly obvious we've gone from a position where, like, these buildings were being built and magnificent things. I mean, look at this panorama of San Francisco.
This is
1878.
There's actually a group of it's actually a group of 7 photos. This isn't the one I was talking about, but the group of 7 photos. The whole city's empty, and it's during the day, middle of summer. There's no animals, no humans on the streets, and it's just weird. The other photo I'm talking about was actually 1855 or something, and the gold mining rush, the gold rush was like 1845, 1849. Then they look at San Francisco. In the space of 5 years, they built a city, and it just doesn't make sense, some of this history that we're told. But yeah, it's interesting. I can't read out the text there, but yeah, here's an example of the cave structure. I think it's Cappadocia in Turkey, which we'll be going to soon, actually. But Cappadocia is I can't remember the name of it. It's an underground city, and it goes down like 12 levels or something. And again, it's like, why do people go? Why do we see all these all over the world, all these underground structures? I think it could hold like 3,000 people or something, or 30,000 people, I can't remember. But and this astrological clock in Prague, the bottom right photo, that's very interesting. And I think it's another post from the same girl talking about how they removed the 13th sign of the zodiac, Ophiuchus, I think it's called. And I don't think it's 2023. I think a lot of people think that time has been distorted, and how the royals even use the Julian calendar. They don't use a Gregorian calendar. So it's interesting. But yeah, this is an example of just many beautiful Hagia
There,
Sophia's
there
in the
she is.
middle.
There she is. There in the middle.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And
But the
these are all
towers,
structures.
the minarets were built afterwards, though, weren't they?
Yeah, they say they were an add-on. Yeah. And again, these are all structures from around the world. Top left is Pumapunku, I think, in Peru. The picture of Machu Picchu, near the top right, that's actually my own picture. I was there in 2015.
Wow.
And you can feel the energy there. Before I was awake, I sat there for 2.5 hours, just marveling at the site. It's a very special place. I would recommend people to go to it. And you got Baalbek on the bottom, the huge megalithic. I think it's 200 tons or something. The block, maybe even more.
Yeah.
But
do you see? Like, how did anyone move that without
giants?
Yeah, I mean that it's just I refused, and that's when, like, I think that the problem about the time that we're living in, it's just such a mediocre time with such mediocre people. I mean that really is what it is. Like, when you listen to these people, there's just nothing there. There's no vision. I mean, like, what's Rishi's, like, that's the thing. Say what you like about Hitler, say what you like about Stalin, Mussolini, Chairman Mao, Fidel Castro, right? Obviously these people did a lot of bad things as well, but they had a vision. Whereas now, like, name me one person in this country that gives you a vision. Or
Kim Jong-un.
Our glorious de facto. Well, he does. He gives people a vision.
Yeah, he's funny though, isn't he? I was
watching
him.
I love him. I love him.
Yeah, he's great. I like him as well. Yeah, and it's funny.
I've got a clip. Like, let me show you this.
Yeah.
I mean, I just think it's so kitsch, and it's just it's totally over the top. But do you know what? I do not think see all the propaganda about him. I think that's just I mean, I'm sure he is quite a ruthless guy, but I think most of it's just utter bullshit. Like, they lie about everyone.
Yeah, same as Russia. Russia bad, etc. It's just
let me play this. So this is him meeting some young ladies. To be fair, this happens to me when UNN people meet me. I mean, they love him, don't they?
He loves it though. You can see the way he's swagging off. He's sucking it
up.
He
does love, as you say, he does love it. I mean, you can tell that he kind of knows, but he loves it. Like, he really does. Definitely. And at least he's interesting. Like, what? Compare him to Leo Varadkar. Like, like, come on.
No, it's nuts. And it's crazy how we think suddenly North Korea might not be that bad a place to live.
No, I think as well. See all the stuff about the famines. I reckon most of that was made up, about all the famines and the deaths. If you were in North Korea, you'd be talking about all the bloody people that die here because of all the illnesses that we have. And I'm sure it's not perfect. Let's be realistic, but. They obviously they lie. Yeah. Talk to me then about this slide, Rob.
This is an episode I did. Actually, YouTube, honestly, earlier in the week, I did an episode Monday, a live stream talking about the North Pole, Antarctica, Rupes Negra, Black Rock, Mount Meru, this mountain. Even Genghis Khan. Max Eichen said that Genghis Khan was born on Mount Meru. And there seems to be several locations of this Mount Meru. It's an interesting subject to research.
But that's interesting because Kim they trace their family back to a mythical mountain outside Pyongyang. Really? They say Kim Il-sung was born on a mountain, and then he went there during the war. And it is, I think, mountains in Asian culture are a lot more like Mount Fuji in Japan as well.
Yeah, but yeah, it's but even on that old map on the bottom of your screen, they put something on the top of this black rock. Like, look at black rock now, and it's like a magnetic black mountain. But even the way the North Pole has been erased from a lot of maps.
Los Angeles International Airport, a giant airliner is poised for a history-making flight. Bernd Balkan, famed Arctic flyer, and his wife are aboard as the 4-engine ship taxis clear and then roars skyward and northward on its epic journey. The airliner is blazing an Arctic trail for passenger planes as it drones north from the United States, across Canada, past Thule Air Base, and over the top of the world to Copenhagen in less than 28 hours. Successfully spanning vast, snow-encrusted wastelands like these near the North Pole, commercial aviation hurdles the Arctic frontier.
And I know a lot about Antarctica, etc. There's several 100 rabbit holes you can go into down there. And it's like the more we go along this journey, it feels to me like we're all directed to Antarctica. And even this country called Friesland on old maps near the North Pole, just northwest of Greenland. And it's interesting, even the stories about Greenland. It is very interesting, this subject of the North Pole.
Remember the film The Land That Time Forgot? Remember that film?
Yeah.
Where the whales go to die. A brilliant film. Like, see, like us talking about this stuff, people would think this is great. Remember Conan the Destroyer, Conan the Barbarian? During the sort of 70s and 80s, there really was a big movement back to that old world kind of stuff, wasn't there?
Yeah, definitely. Even the one about Genghis Khan. Mac said that around this mountain in Mongolia where Genghis Khan was born, there was a 75-mile ring around it. You have to go through checkpoints to get to it, but it's actually called Mount Merv or Mount Meru, but the U is a V. And I'm still trying to work out what the theories are behind it, but it's interesting. But yeah, but the next slide, again, is talking two monkeys watching the New World Order play out on the TV. But that passage, I can't see the text to read it out, about the Wetico mind virus. It's a very interesting, you can screenshot that, guys, and have a read of it, because it's...
Let's get down to it. What is Wetico? I think that's where our journey really kicks off here today.
In a nutshell, it's a Native American term that connotes, in a way, the spirit of evil. And you could say it's a psycho-spiritual disease of the soul that afflicts humanity. And it exists, in a way, we could say, in the collective unconscious of our species. And that's to say that we all potentially have it in potential. But I'm pointing out in my work, you see, as a Westerner, as a modern Westerner, I'm actually translating this indigenous term, which is completely mind-blowingly profound. It's like a higher dimensional idea, and I'm just translating it into a modern psychological idiom, because it's what's at the bottom of the collective madness that's playing out in the world today, and it works through the blind spots of our psyche. It's a form of blindness, but it's a peculiar form of blindness that actually thinks it's sighted. And not only does it think it's sighted, it thinks it's more sighted than people who actually see. So in a way, because it operates through the projective tendencies of the mind, what it does, it entrances us via our own projections, such that we become conditioned and we react to our projections in a way where we create this cocoon around us, which suffocates us. It's like, I want to say, this is the diagnosis from what our species is suffering from, that Wetico, it's the source of all the myriad world crises that we're facing, and the solution is to be found within Wetico, because Wetico is to be found within the psyche, within us. And it can only operate and have power over us to the extent we don't see it, because remember, it operates through the blind spots. That's why my whole work is trying to help people to see it, because when you see it, you take away its power over you and you empower yourself. You see, it has no creative power at all, but it's a master impersonator. So it actually impersonates us. It offers us this fictitious identity, this limited identity. Oh, I'm wounded, I'm traumatized, I'm limited in a certain way. And now keep in mind, it has no power over us at all when we're in our true nature. So that's why it impersonates us, it offers us this fake identity. As soon as we identify with its version of ourselves, then it has us, because then it can manipulate us, then it can control us. And if you think about what I've just described, there are 3 facets of that. One is we give ourselves away. Second, we identify with who we're not. And third is we disconnect from our intrinsic creative power. That's a recipe for madness, and that's Wetiko.
Like talking about the COVID tests, they break a chloroform plate above your nose, and it allows things to go into your brain, an infection. I don't know. It's very interesting, and it goes to a deeper level, a metaphysical level.
We don't even talk about breathing. Like I know that might sound silly, but I remember I used to go to yoga classes, and they would see actually just breathing. Like nothing that we. Now I'm not saying everything in the rest of the world's good, but everything that no one in the Western world talks about good sleep. They don't talk about good breathing. Like it's just like, vaccine, big pharma. And people do trace that back to like the Rockefellers and the Sacklers, and obviously these types. No one talks about these things.
Do you remember they always say never look at the sun, and it's like if you know about sun gazing, same as don't have too much salt. The table salt's a terrible one, but sea salt's very good for you.
Well, remember the big one, and Ivor Cummings did a really good job about this. Is what's the word? Fat. Like they said that fats in food would give you a heart attack and make you put on weight, and that was the biggest psyop there ever was. That was remember everybody in the 80s and 90s, everything had to be low fat because people thought fat in foods made you fat.
Same with the no sugar thing.
It was a total lie.
Same with how Coke have got Coke Zero everywhere now. Coke Zero is just laced with aspartame, which excites your brain cells so much that they pop and die your electrons in your brain. That's an interesting one as well, the no sugar thing. But
no, you're right. What's going on here then? Jimmy
there's
Savile,
an example.
Sam
Smith, Jimmy Savile, and Westworld logo. Westworld's another interesting theory.
Yeah,
going back to the empty cities and stuff. But it's a state of society, and Sam Smith dressing up. There was actually an interesting video I watched the other day showing all the pop stars in the earlier days and how they were so innocent. And they had a picture of back then and a picture now, like Billie Eilish, Sam Smith, a few other ones, and how they change.
Sam Smith was like quite a nice, young, slightly feminine male, like when he first came on the scene, but everyone was like, wow, that guy's got an amazing voice. Now look at him.
Yeah. And I think the meme of the year for me is this one on the right with Jesus smoking cigarettes and flood it again. Which is,
Rob, some people are asking, can I share this presentation?
Yeah, you can. Yeah. If it's free, anybody can use it. Yeah,
I'll put the link in the chat there. A couple people were asking me, and then on to finally our friends back. Like, will we have a listen to this?
Yeah. Put it on. It's a song. You know the cassette boy song.
This is good. Running Man. I was talking about Running Man the other day. Brilliant, outstanding. We now live, and I remember watching Running Man as a wee boy, shit scared, thinking I would hate to live in a totalitarian society where the government would lie to you like that. I used to watch that thinking, well, at least, whereas Running Man was a brilliant film and very prophetic.
No, definitely. Yeah.
Brilliant film.
Yeah, it's a song. I don't know. Do you want me to go? You can play it at the end of the show if you want, because it's a 3-minute song.
I'll play it now. And we'll listen to it.
It's showtime.
Thank you. Because we're leaving them to their own devices, the poorest are making all of the sacrifices, the cost of living prices, house prices, the cost of a deposit. I don't give a shit. But yes, of course, we should address it. So we will blame the deficit on people claiming benefits. And as we debate what people get from the state, we don't care about how long people have to wait in A&E. We don't care about your GP. We have to get the money. It's important to me. And as the NHS is being sold off, it's businesses that get the profit. in their pockets. Make sure the tops stay better off. Make sure the money stops at the top. Take every penny from the hands of the many and give everything to the few. Where is the fairness? We couldn't care less. One tax law for the rich and another for the rest, and we will take interest in the very richest. Let us make the poor the richest. Tax evasion is a man-made disaster. These are the people I will serve as Chancellor. I know the answer is to fill the wallets of the rich and balance the bills on the backs of the poor. The rich pay less tax. Let us make sure they don't pay any more. And as my chums move their money offshore, I am the one holding open the door. Let us be the party that makes you cry, but madness is voting for the other guy.
Good morning, everybody. Our ideas are partly fear of people from different cultures coming here. And when I hear our policies about ethnic minorities, we're the only party that actually believes in social mobility, because our ability to push migrants on a boat is my personal priority. Yes, the majority of our policies blame people who come from other countries. Employment legislation, blame immigration. Excessive regulation, blame immigration. Bad education, blame immigration. No qualification, blame immigration. Radicalization,
blame immigration.
Unhappy situation,
blame immigration.
The intimidation in our nation when we blame immigration is a total abomination.
At home and abroad, we can afford to press pause and put the needle on the record. Make sure.
See, here's the thing, Rob. I mean, I agree with all this, and I do think there is unfair demonization. But the one sort of problem I have with like lefties is they sort of turn around and say, yeah, I mean, you just have to accept 1 million people a year coming into the country. Like, and even if you don't look at it from a race perspective, you can't just have 1 million people coming in the country a year. You don't have enough houses. You don't have enough schools. Like, so wait, like that, all of that's true. Like, but why is that with lefties? Like or just these people in general, they love like mass immigration, when as actually I pointed out the other day, the Labour Party, it's not Sir Keir Hardie led protests against cheap Lithuanian labour coming in. Having open borders disproportionately affects working class people, because all the capitalist class will do is bring people in to get someone cheaper to do your job. So why do they love it so much?
I think they're wired differently. The left, I think it's tricky because you can't really paint everybody with the same brush. But I think the way they think is interesting. They do have this they kind of have communism in their blood, or a lot of them do.
But even under communism, there wasn't open borders in the Soviet Union. If you wanted to move and work, you used to have to apply, and there was rigorous controls in place, because they knew that if you just had vast swathes of people moving, it would dilute the labor market.
I think it goes back to like Übermensch programming, which was a thing from the German from World War II. If you watch mainstream media, like when we become awake, it takes us years to get rid of the programming. You know, it's an interesting one. But even we can talk a little bit about NPCs. I'm not saying everybody from the left is an NPC, but they're not. But this whole NPC thing is an interesting subject, whether they have a soul or not. It's an interesting one.
Yeah, it's just like I said that at the start of the show. Like, you can be anti-mass immigration. Like, that doesn't mean you're going to go out and you're going to find the first migrant and beat them to death. Like, it's such gaslighting. It really, really is. Rob, let me play this clip, because I was talking about the Hagia Sophia. I found this. This was the Sultan. This is the scene the day before the fall of the Byzantine Emperor, and this is, by many accounts, a genuine historical event that happened.
In the wake of the blood moon, and just hours before Mehmed launches his final assault, he's met by an apocalyptic sight.
lights appear to be shining on the roof of Hagia Sophia.
Oh my God.
What kind of sorcery is this?
Created this incredibly hysterical atmosphere within the city that they could be looking at the end of the world.
It's interesting.
Protected by the Virgin Mary. There's the story that on the last day of Constantinople, she was seen leaving the city.
Allah has abandoned the infidels!
Interesting stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. It's like they talk about angels, and there's a film people could watch called The Devil's Conspiracy. It was just released this year, I think, actually, but it's quite good. It talks about a woman goes to a museum in Belgium or Holland or somewhere, and she draws a statue of Lucifer, and the statue starts moving at nighttime, and she reanimates Lucifer. But going back to the angels and this metaphysical, and they're beings of light, beings of energy, and it could well be something of a spiritual nature. It's interesting, very interesting.
I mean, this has been a brilliant chat and everything. I mean, I think I have to be honest, Rob. I have to get back to the racism because that's what pays the bills. You know, this is good for a Saturday night, okay? And mine, but I've got a lot of knuckle draggers watch UNN. They want me to come on and be racist, anti-Semitic, everything. You know, so what I always promise people is we do think a bit above our station on a Saturday night, but you know, I give the people what they want, Rob. You know, I have to be a good emperor to them.
Good. No, smashing.
I'm only joking. Everyone knows that's not true. No, I mean all this stuff is very, very interesting, and I do agree 100% with everything that you're talking about. There is such a lack of understanding of the past. People, the smartphone is just what that's done. It's dumbed people down so much.
It's like social media, like the word social media. There's nothing social about it.
No,
it's
that's
anti-social media. It's total inversion. That's the problem. There's been so many lies. It's really called systemic. Where we are in society all around the world, there's so much systemic corruption. There's corruption from the school level up to it's everywhere. It's everywhere, you know.
And if you were to like talk to kids about the fall of Constantinople, like I don't mean that in a bad way, but kids would be like, "What?" Like they don't listen about Roman history. They really know, and most of the history they get now is a cultural Marxist form of history, which is, you know, it's all focused on fascism and how bad that was. It's all focused. I mean, I know you're not a fan of the British Empire, and that's fair enough. But again, it is all focused on that. And your argument is kind of different, but it is. I think it is also part of the humiliation. They don't look at these incredible buildings that were built. There's no appreciation of where we are. It's look this, and people aren't going to get very bright. Talking about these things, and as you say, it then leads to diet. It leads no. There are people talk about it, but not amongst the masses. It's the mass consumer society's shite food, shite TV, shite history. It's just a wall of shite.
Same as chemtrails. Same as people not looking up anymore. Everybody's looking down. Everybody's looking down into their phones. You know, it's sad. It's sad.
No one's looking at the sky and nature. And I had a lovely thing today, and I was driving and I saw 3 deer. And see when you actually see deer, I mean, actually seeing animals in their habitat just grazing. And and I know it sounds corny, but appreciating animals and that's why I love my dogs. And they're so cognitive, like they're and they're loving, and there's no BS there. And that's the other thing as well, is people are so far removed from nature. That's like these 15-minute cities. Where are the trees in 15-minute
This is
cities?
interesting, actually, David. All the trees have been removed because the frequencies of our phones, trees and smoke, even the whole no smoking thing. I noticed when COVID started 2020, the NHS had a massive push on not smoking again. There was a no smoking campaign, and even Dr. Rashid Buttar, is it Buttar? He was killed because he said that smokers didn't, when the smoke and trees get in the way of the frequencies, and that's why they've been cut down. And you see no
Yeah,
smoking
I
zones
also think I think there's a lot of I don't like. I used to smoke when I was younger. I don't like the smell of it, but I think there's a lot of lies around fags as well, because like look at Vince Cawthron. Vince is like 80 and he smoked like 100 a day, and he's never had a vaccine, and he's not dead. Like surely everybody that smokes should get lung cancer. Like, but then they don't. Why is that?
It's interesting. I think
like everyone used to smoke in like the 20s and 30s. See when you see videos, everyone had a fag. Yet they didn't all die of lung cancer, did they?
Yeah. I think it's also fear. It's also if like when somebody with cancer goes to the doctor tells them you've got 3 months, they don't know how long they've got. They just reading the protocol out. But when that person goes away, they think in their head, they create that reality. They might, they do your thoughts, feelings, emotions they determine your vibration and how up or down your body goes with your health and stuff. It's interesting. Stress, another big one.
Yeah, no, it's I just think that they do lie. I mean, I'm not advocating everybody goes out and starts smoking. I don't like it. I'm not a fan. I just think it stinks. But I used to enjoy smoking back in the day. I used to smoke after sex, and I was a 20 a day man. So you can think about that what you want. Back in the day. So I used to a Marlboro Light. That was my. I remember you used to go to pubs. Remember you used to go to pubs in Glasgow. I mean, you would stink of fags, wouldn't you?
I used to live on Paisley Road West, down in the Ibrox, just down from Ibrox. Yeah.
Did you ever go into the Red Lion pub? Did you ever go into the Red Lion pub?
Yeah, I know the one. Yeah, I know the one. We used to live just near that. Yeah,
I used to go into the Red Lion. That was good. That was a great pub. I mean, that was a real like that rough pub.
We used to drink Buckfast up the woods in Rothside. You're the same age. Buckfast, White Lightning.
Yeah, those are the good. I never liked Buck. Bucky was rancid. Yeah. I used to like really Blue Ocean. I used to like all the sweet drinks. I used to like Smirnoff Ice and Bacardi Breezers and stuff like that. Mad Dog. Those are the days. And so you were in Paisley Road West.
Yeah, for a year or something. Yeah. I used to live in Dublin. I used to live in Dublin as well for 4 years. I moved from Glasgow to Dublin in 2003 for 4 years.
I mean, that we've been talking about these riots. I mean, they've killed Dublin. Like Dublin's just crazy expensive now, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, it was expensive when I was there as well. But I mean, you can see what they're trying to do with the mixing of races in this multicultural society.
It doesn't work. Like I don't mean that. I don't mean that in a bad way. Like I'm sure I don't want to now go to war with Nigeria because they're black, but I think having like 1 million Nigerians in Britain maybe isn't healthy. Like people are just different. Like that's and it's. I do think, and I think a lot of people get this now, that racial tension does allow the elites to bring in hate speech laws.
Yeah,
they can bring in total control, like and then that just applies to everybody. They just shut everyone down.
Hegelian dialect. They create the problem reaction solution. Yeah, that's what they do. Antithesis, synthesis.
We should do a show on Mount Stewart like that. That would be good.
Yeah, I'll start putting something together for you. Yeah, I'll start.
Mount Stewart is
Johnny Dumfries.
Yeah, it is it is like nothing. I'll actually show the guys now after I let you go. Rob, I know it's late. That was brilliant. Really, really, really enjoyed that. And keep in touch. So where's the boat just now?
It's back in England. It's on land. We'll be going back in a minute.
Just make sure you keep that seaworthy, Rob, just in case you ever have to come and rescue some of us. All right.
I might have to come pick you up and take you to the Middle East where it's safe.
Yes, that's and I'm not joking. I'm not joking.
I know.
Actually serious. Right, okay. Bye, Rob.
Cool.
Thanks very much.
Cheers, buddy.
Legend.
Bye,
Speak to you later. Bye-bye. Everyone follow Rob on Twitter, please. I'm putting his Twitter account in. His YouTube's there as well. He is one of the good guys. It's funny as well. Like, I get on better with jocks, especially west of Scotland jocks. Like, we've got more in common. This is the thing. Like, get the R's in the chat, please, for Rob. I don't mean that in a bad way. Like, obviously, I get on with some people from Englandshire. David, that's my. I better not diss my audience. But you do get on better or have more in common with people who have lived or been in this. This is just how it works. It's like trying to make me get on with fucking Welsh people. It's just not going to happen. I'm gonna get on better with somebody from Benin than I would Swansea. I've got more in common with somebody who speaks Swahili than lives in Swansea. Okay, I could easily live in Cairo. I couldn't live in Cardiff. So take that what you will. Kidding. Guys, great numbers over on Rumble. I love it when you guys stay. Please smash that thumbs up button and you'll enjoy it. Yeah, this is Mount Stewart, and it really is a mythical place. It really is. The gardens are stunning inside. I mean, look at that view. Look at that view over to the mainland. Now the Dumfries family can't afford to live in it now, which is understandable because it's so massive. They've got houses there. That's inside Mount Stewart. There's some nice Highland cattle. There it is. Look at that. That was a house. That's inside it. Yeah, it was Celtic drew 1-1 today. That's right. Rangers are doing all right, but I'm just the taking of the knee for me was just unforgivable. After they started taking the knee, I couldn't watch that anymore. Like, it annoyed me so much. So here's the house. I mean, it is very Catholic as well. Like, I don't mean that in a derogatory way, but it is a bit more ostentatious in that sense. But it's a stunning building. I do recommend if anybody does get the chance to go to Mount Stewart, if they're ever up in Scotland. Yeah, Mount Stewart Gardens. Interestingly, Bute House, where the First Minister of Scotland lives, was owned by the Dumfries family, were minted.
Folks, we have a very special guest for you tonight. I'd like to introduce...
Let's hear it for the great Mr. Hunt.
In rhythm management. Let's begin. All right now, wasn't that fun? Let's try something else.
Welcome to the AI Carnival of the Ages, where past and present collide in a retro-futuristic spectacle. Feast your eyes on the dazzling Earth computer, a floating orb that'll whisk you away to base reality. As you wander through our timeless attractions, marvel at the fusion of turn-of-the-century charm and cutting-edge innovation. Experience the magic of our multi-surprising delight for people of all ages. Plug into simulated realities with our domed VR fashionable headsets, immersing yourself in a myriad of captivating worlds within our different reality simulator observatories. And for a nostalgic touch, enjoy a ride on our authentic vintage Earth train, a testament to the wonders of bygone eras. Where imagination knows no bounds and memories are made to last a lifetime. So come along, plug in and tune out as you soar, spin, and plunge through lifetime.
I discover how Britain's empire was built by pirates.
They were given permission from the King of England to plunder, and plunder they did.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
Okay, so bear with me. This is my Bible. It's falling apart. It's from the 1800s. I'm going to find the Holy Land in this Bible. The Holy Land. Here it has a list of the bird's eye view of the Holy Land. And then back here I'm going to go to this. What's that saying? Where is the Holy Land? There's no Israel on my map. This is a very, very old book. And the illustrations in my book are crazy.
Supernatural event in Israel to fool all of you. Christians, I need you to pay particular attention to this video because it's going to be most helpful to you. We'll get to how they're going to plan this supernatural event in Israel in just a minute, but first, hear me out. When it says earthquakes in diverse places, in wars and rumors of wars, it is a warning to watch out for the fake version of Revelation. When it says earthquakes in diverse places, what it's trying to tell you is there's going to be earthquakes in places that there shouldn't be, and it's going to happen all over the world. They knew that the servants of the evil one were going to manufacture earthquakes with machines. Secondly, wars and rumors of wars. Rumors of wars doesn't mean people making up stories that wars are going to happen. Rumors of wars are the psyops that they're doing right now on the media channels to make you think wars are happening when they don't. False flags, psyops, political theater. No one's caught this yet. That the earthquakes in diverse places and wars and rumors of wars was trying to tell us they were going to fake revelations, which is why they say when all those things happen, still my time is not near. They're trying to tell you they're going to fake revelations first to make you think it's happening at a certain time so they could trick you with a fake Messiah. So what does it tell you next? It tells you to look at the heavens. Keep your eyes on the stars, because it's the one thing they can't fake. Although they do try with the chemtrails, with the satellites, with their blue beam, but they can't quite get it right the way they get it right on the media. They can make anything happen in the media, but that's why the Bible tells you focus on the stars, because it is the perfect clock that can't be messed with. So how does this connect to what's happening in Israel right now? They're about to plan a supernatural event, which will also be faked, and when that supernatural event happens, many Christians and other peoples will be fooled, and at that moment they will introduce the Antichrist, which will be made to look like the Mashiach, the Messiah. They will fool many people into believing in the Antichrist. But their Messiah is our Antichrist, really important. And who's the last person you'd expect to be the Antichrist? Because that's exactly how it's going to happen. Whoever the Antichrist is the person you least expect, which means it could fool the most people. The least person you'd expect to be the Antichrist is the Christ. So they're going to fool you with an image of Christ, a false idol. So this supernatural event is going to be done because the US and other countries have been developing super crazy secret technology. Now, we all thought they were doing that just because they wanted to, get ahead of other nations, get ahead of their opponents in the world, and just keep many things secret, right? That's not why. They've been building all this technology to go to war with you, with your consciousness, to win the war for the human soul. When did this start? The 1940s, because Germany was into the occult, and they started communicating with demons. They didn't realize what these things were. They thought the demons were trying to help them do good, but in fact, they were actually tricking them into doing evil. You feel the storm coming? That's because Yahweh's mad, but don't worry, he's mortally wounded. So they're going to fake this supernatural event with all of their advanced technology. What's going to happen is you're going to see everyone surround Israel, just like in the prophecy, and there's going to be like no hope for them. Everyone's going to turn on them, and all of a sudden some incredible supernatural thing's going to happen, which just means they're going to take out their most advanced jets. They're going to use Project Bluebeam. They've been tricking you into thinking that they're making an alien invasion. That's what I figured out. We thought it was going to be a tricked alien invasion. It's not. That was the cover. What they're really faking is the Messiah, okay? They're going to use all sorts of technologies you can't even imagine, so that when it comes out, you won't think it's the governments. You won't think it's our technology. You'll think it's actual supernatural events. They've been testing this forever, especially in South America, where you've seen the apparitions show up in the sky of like angels and stuff, because they've been practicing it to see how well it'll work. So like I said, it all started when the Nazis were communicating with these demons. They opened up channels of communication. The gray aliens are demons. The gray aliens are servants of Yahweh. Okay, they're the Majiji in the Sumerian creation myth. The Archons, they're basically the game controllers here, okay? And they are the epitome of colonization, the colonizing of human beings, right? Because they take you against your will, they have advanced technology, and they're completely apathetic to your existence, to your suffering, to your happiness. They could care less, they're just doing their job. The spirit of that demonic possession is what possessed all the colonizers around the world to enslave people. So where does it get really crazy? When we pick up all those Nazi scientists in Operation Paperclip, and they start doing weird stuff in the deserts of the Southwest. Why in the deserts of the Southwest? Because there's many portals. The desert of the Southwest is Jerusalem. It is the spiritual center of the world, and it opens up to other dimensions. They made these dimensional portals much bigger by testing nuclear weapons out there. And then all of a sudden, what happened? Tons of UFO sightings. Some of those are created by human beings. Others are just spiritual demonic apparitions. And they all start getting really crazy in the Southwest. Jack Parsons and L. Ron Hubbard and Aleister Crowley were doing the most crazy, most powerful summoning rituals in history in the deserts of the Southwest to open up these portals. Jack Parsons led the opening, and then Jack Parsons had an unfortunate accident with rockets and passed away and couldn't close the portals. So now they're wide open. Not only is Jerusalem, the real Jerusalem, which is in the American Southwest, the most holy place, it has also been ripe with possession, demonic entities entering in and out. This is a war for your soul. This is a war for what we will become in the future. Okay? All of this stuff is built to trick you, the billions of people. That's where all the most power is. That's why all these governments have been saving up for and building up their technology, not to go to war with each other. They're in league with each other. This thing that's happening in the Middle East is faked by all countries. They're trying to trick you because they're all possessed by these things that want to win over your soul. The real revelations is happening not on the television. The revolution will not be televised. The real revelations is happening all around you. God is everywhere. The kingdom of heaven is within. The true Hebrew Israelites are the indigenous people of the planet. You need to understand everything I'm telling you right now and understand that it is all true. It is all real. Pay attention to the signs in the heavens.
I've come to one of the hottest tourism destinations in the world, Israel. Defying mathematics, this 74-year-old country has thousands of years of history. Book your stay on an illegal Israeli settlement. There are hundreds of stolen Palestinian homes to choose from. Pay a little extra and you can go on one of our bombing Syria tours. They're on special offer right now. Sun, sea, sand, and suppression. Yes, don't worry, you will fly home guilt-free. Gaza is off limits for tourists. And who wants to visit an open-air prison anyway? No, visit the land of cultural appropriation, where you can find the best Israeli dishes, like hummus and tabbouleh. The land of tolerance and inclusivity, where everyone except a gay Palestinian is welcome. The Israeli nightlife is banging, especially during election season. Phosphorus bombs light up the sky over Gaza, and you can hear the sound of snipers in the distance. Forget safari tours in Africa, drive through the West Bank. You never know, you might catch a glimpse of a rare species. Journalists, for instance, have nearly been hunted to extinction in these parts. You know what? Why not just move to Israel? It's easy. Just find a Jew on your family tree, not a Palestinian, or marry a Jew. And more land will be freed up, especially for you. I mean, if you don't move there, someone else will. So what are you waiting for? Visit the last apartheid on Earth.